Okay, so let's dive in. Imagine a world where your trash, yeah, the stuff you toss out, it's actually treasure, just waiting for someone to unlock it. That's the surprisingly cool world of a waste and scrap distribution manager.
And it really is a world of its own.
Right. And we're diving into RoleCatcher's insights on this whole thing.
Definitely a good source for this kind of deep dive.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, it's way more than just like hauling garbage. It's logistics, environmental impact.
Oh, you absolutely hit the business side of it there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What's fascinating to me is waste and scrap distribution managers. They're basically the conductors of this whole intricate logistical orchestra,
Wow.
making sure everything, and I mean everything, ends up at the right recycling plant, the right processing facility, maximizing efficiency, cutting down on waste.
Huh. You wouldn't think that monitoring would be the most important skill for a job that deals with, well, garbage.
It's surprising, right?
But RoleCatcher says it eats up almost 60% of a manager's time.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So tell me, what are they watching so closely?
It all boils down to data. These managers, they're always tracking inventory levels, right? Like for different materials. They're monitoring routes, making sure those pickups and deliveries happen on time, and then they're staying up to date on all the regulations.
Oh, I bet those change all the time.
Constantly. And get this, they even have to anticipate future demand for certain recycled materials. Because believe it or not, there are trends in trash.
Trends in trash. Okay, now that's something I never even considered.
It's a wild world out there.
You know, I always thought those reduce, reuse, recycle posters were like the peak of sophistication when it came to waste management.
Uh-huh. It gets way more nuanced than those posters let on.
Yeah.
This role is about really understanding the whole crazy journey of waste and finding ways to squeeze the most value from it, turning what we usually just toss aside into something valuable.
Interesting.
And that takes a deep understanding of the market, the materials, the whole process.
This whole hidden world. Speaking of getting your hands dirty, let's talk career path. What if someone listening actually wants to become a waste and scrap distribution manager? What's that journey look like?
Well, RoleCatcher lays it out pretty clearly.
Okay, good, good.
You might start as a waste and scrap distribution assistant,
Okay.
working your way up, through coordinator, maybe supervisor roles,
Makes sense.
before you finally land that manager position.
So it's not like you're like immediately thrown into the deep end of the recycling bin.
Uh-huh. No, not at all.
Okay, good.
Even at that entry level, you're getting that hands-on experience.
Yeah, you need that.
Think managing inventory, right? All these different materials, you're processing purchase orders, even quality control. It's all part of the job from day one.
Okay, hold up. Quality control when we're talking about waste and scrap. Now that I've got to hear more about. What does that even look like?
It's super important, right? You got to make sure all these materials meet specific criteria before you can even think about processing, about recycling.
Oh, right, of course.
So imagine, you're checking a load of plastic for contamination,
Wow, yeah.
making sure different types of metal are sorted correctly. You might even be analyzing what the materials are actually made of to figure out the best way to use them. It's all about, protecting that whole recycling and recovery process.
So it's not just chucking everything in a bin and hoping for the best. There's actual precision involved here.
Oh, absolutely. Think of it as, this delicate dance between logistics and science, all while juggling what the market actually needs.
And speaking of market needs, RoleCatcher mentions negotiation and persuasion as key skills here. So who are we persuading? Are we trying to convince people to recycle more or?
It's more about navigating all the different players involved.
Okay, yeah.
Remember, these managers work with suppliers, vendors, buyers,
Oh, right, of course.
even regulatory bodies.
It's a whole ecosystem.
Exactly. And you got to make sure materials are moving smoothly through the whole system. And that needs strong communication, building those relationships.
Right.
And yeah, sometimes you need a bit of that negotiation, that persuasion to get things done.
So you got to be a smooth talker on top of everything else. This role just keeps getting more and more interesting. RoleCatcher even mentioned dealing with difficult or demanding customers. Who knew that came with the territory of, saving the planet?
It's not always glamorous, that's for sure.
I bet.
You're dealing with tight deadlines, unexpected problems popping up, and yeah, sometimes you got to deal with those frustrated customers. It's all part of the job.
Sounds like you need a thick skin on top of that recycling bin. But on a more positive note, given how much everyone's talking about sustainability these days, I'm guessing the job market for this is on fire.
You're right on the money.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher, they highlight how good the career outlook is for this. It's a chance to make a real difference for the environment.
Yeah, Absolutely.
But it's also a secure field. There's demand.
Best of both worlds.
Exactly. And who knows? Maybe you even find a way to turn all that trash into treasure.
It's wild to me how this job, it's like hands-on, but also big picture at the same time. You're in the weeds with the logistics of all this waste, but then you're also thinking ahead, right?
Yeah, totally.
Analyzing trends and like almost being an advocate for sustainability.
Absolutely. And it's becoming more and more important,
Oh, for sure.
as companies, communities, everybody starts realizing we need to be smarter about this stuff.
Makes you wonder, is this the future of how we deal with waste? Like, will we ever get to a point where waste isn't even a thing anymore? It's just all about resource recovery, you know?
It's a future worth working towards, right?
Totally.
And these kinds of roles, they're going to be so essential to getting there.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where every little thing we toss out, it's not garbage. It's a resource,
Yeah, yeah.
carefully sorted, processed, put back into the loop.
That's way better than just like overflowing landfills with stuff we could have recycled.
Exactly. We got to shift our whole perspective. It's not trash. It's raw materials just waiting for their next use.
I love that. From trash to treasure, like we were saying.
Well, I gotta say, my perspective's definitely been shifted after this whole deep dive. Who knew waste management could be so, I don't know.
Oh, complex.
Yeah. And intriguing.
Yeah.
And honestly, all the opportunity there. It's pretty amazing.
It's definitely overlooked, but there's a ton of potential both for people looking for a career path, but also for making a real difference.
For sure. So if you're out there and you want a career that's, it's challenging, it's rewarding, and it's actually important for the future of, well, everything, this might be that perfect fit you've been searching for. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. It's been eye-opening.